say less. I'm back in that bag again. Yeah, yeah. Oh, say less. I'm back in that. Yeah. What you doing? Yeah, yeah. I'm back in that. Hey, where you going? Hey.
Welcome everyone to the SPL waiting room.
What?
Your one-stop shop
Okay.
for all things SMITEPro League.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wish I had more rhymes in the intro for this specific moment.
SMITEPro League.
Hey there, guys, gals, non-binary
Yeah,
pals.
that's a good one. I like using that one.
Welcome.
Welcome. Just welcome. Yeah, welcome. We're going to be talking, man, there's some Smite that's happening this week, huh? And it seems like that's every week here that we
you
do
guys
this
didn't
show.
tell me my hair was all messed up.
I literally
did.
told you 3 minutes before we went on camera.
Bad
I
opinion.
widowy? Shut up, dude.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's needed.
You fixed it. You managed to fix it.
It's widowy fixed.
What do we fixed?
right.
This might happen this week. It was week 3 of the SPL, and there were some surprises in this one. Of course, if you at home are wondering what had happened, I always like to point people, and personally, I also use these when I need to find real quick recap stuff and real good information. Am I talking too long? Is that what's going on?
No, that was intrusive thoughts.
Okay. You said before this started, Dave said he was going to ring that whenever people had a bad opinion or they had been going on.
That was
for too
intrusive thoughts. I'm sorry.
Blues Ultra makes a bunch of graphics that are actually really, really helpful for keeping track of things. Of course, the thing that should stand out the most on this screen is if you look towards the Kings and the Gladiators, and you see that it's a 2-1 in favor of the Gladiators. That one's going to throw you for a
typo?
loop if you didn't watch it. Honestly, it might throw you
Blues
for a
doesn't
loop
make
if you
mistakes.
did watch it.
It's rare that Blues Ultra makes a miss there. How do you do
Oh,
it?
that's not. But
Yeah.
Blues doesn't make mistakes.
Not even a
Whoa.
mistake. That's the thing. Not only that, I'm actually going to give an extra thing. One thing I personally am a huge fan of, not just these graphics. You can go a little further beyond. Blues makes this really, really good spreadsheet that has has a dummy amount of information in it that you're going to be able to find. You're talking how many times the player has been first blooded, how many times they've got first bloods, things like that. As well as pretty much any number that you're going to find here. This just makes it look real pretty. Although, admittedly, their spreadsheet also looks really pretty. So make sure that you follow them at Blues Ultra on everything. Outside of the Kings losing to the Gladiators, anything from week 3 that stood out to y'all?
I think it's actually it's a topic and a conversation point that we had throughout the week. The buzzer's intimidating me. I'm nervous of talking too long now.
This is going to be like when we need to outro, I'm going to hit the buzzer. Just I'm going to put that out there.
This is a bad answer because it's been the case for now 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
What are we, 2 weeks in? We're going into
This is
was
week number 4.
This
We're
was
going into
week
week
3.
4.
We're going into
Going to
week 4.
Yeah. Time
Almost
flies.
exactly. Well, opposite of what I'm going to say. We're almost at exactly a 35-minute average game time, and I think the only Warriors dragged that down a little bit. They were winning theirs in sub 30. It feels like.
Yep. And then the Dragons are dragging it up by going 50 minutes every single time.
Every game.
Um,
3 games.
And so, I was wondering if it was teams just haven't figured out how to siege yet or how to push leads, and after a few weeks, that game time was going to drop by, a fire giant or two, like a 4 or 5 minute drop in average game time. It really just seems like the way the game is played right now, and specifically, I think comeback mechanics and the ability for teams to defend, win one fight, kind of flip games around.
Yeah.
It has shown me that it's not so. I mean, there are siege issues. Don't get me wrong, but it's more just the way that you can play the game on defense. I think opens things up to a bit longer.
I mean, hell, you started out the day it was you and 4 pros, and you were having trouble closing out a game.
All right, well, in defense of myself and the 4
Myth was
pros,
dragging them down.
We were random pick. We didn't have an
Yeah,
ADC
yeah.
or a mage, but I do tend to agree that it is a bit difficult to siege right now. I don't think it's the comeback mechanics, though. The chest giving you gold, sure. I mean, great. And that's maybe why you see the willingness to sit in your base a little bit more so. But every pro I have talked to has pointed to 2 reasons why games don't end. It's that the defensive passageway into the Titan room is the most narrow passageway in the game.
It's true.
And it's that there is maybe too much damage in the game right now. It's so difficult to walk through that passageway and have one Agni Bomb do 30% of a tank, or have one bit of mage damage, tossed out there, and it just stops that entire siege. So it's the ability to turtle, I think, is incredibly high, and it's that the damage output is just enough, even from behind, with the added safety of your fountain, that you can threaten a couple of kills here, 2 picks on a siege, and all of a sudden you just lost the next fire giant, or you maybe potentially lose the game. So it's just inaccessible to get into the enemy base.
Yeah, it causes a lot of trouble, I think, and like you said, we've seen that in the average game times. Maybe this week slows down. I don't think so. Not until we get
I imagine it'll be a similar pace.
Yeah, pretty. What I guess depending on we got like patch notes later today. That might change some of that, and so that's what you can look forward to. The other thing you can look forward to is fantasy, which has been very fun. I think part 1 of fantasy is always going to be talking about, did Jordan win? And Trelli, this last week he was playing you. Now, before we get into points and stuff, Trelli, Ravens take up a lot of your
a lot of my team too.
A lot of your team.
Yeah.
And they had the Warriors and the Kings this week. They lost both of them. Kind of struggles. How do you think you did?
I think that I had a rough week. Lasbra also. These long games, unfortunately, did not favor him kill-wise. And I think this is a rough week for my team. I'm gonna have to get on them soon.
This I'm gonna tell you now. This was your lowest scoring week by over 100.
Sandbagging for the fans at home.
Well, to be fair, I also had the highest scoring week, so
yes,
my
so
low,
you balanced it out.
Yeah. This is always going to be your lowest scoring week, though. Kings and Oni Warriors is always going to be the hardest possible. Right, that's the hardest possible week.
And they only can play one of those teams twice, right? It's just the Kings. So the Warriors, that's done and dusted. You can move forward. With that knowledge, though, you did lose to Jordan.
I'm glad.
Not by a lot,
and therefore, chat.
And so it has been actually kind of a lot. 100
or a 3 for Jordan?
It was 370. It was 120-ish points, right? Well, I guess 115 points separating you. Which means, for those of you watching, that on Sunday, there's going to be a drop available for you while watching the SBL because Jordan won. And not only that, Jordan and Hazer right now are actually doing like the best in the league. If we were keeping it standings rise, right? Like win-loss record.
Yo, Barracuda sold you, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't know.
24, huh?
Yeah, Barracuda and Ven sold you.
It was they were against the Kings and the Warriors, man. It was a rough.
Yeah, look, Vera did 60 points worse than Yark, and Ven did 40 points worse than Paul.
That's about the difference.
That's about the.
It also helps. I mean, Paul had a really good week this week.
Lasbra sold you too. Actually, it was all of your backliners.
That's what I'm saying. Quig showed up.
Quig popped off.
The Hounds really did have a great.
Fine.
Quig made sure that this stayed at 115 and didn't get any higher.
Yep. I appreciate that.
Hey, good news there for chat. Is that you guys win and you get a drop on Sunday. The other portion of it, if we want to look at the rest of the week, our little back alley deals. Hazer beat me by 6 points, so I'm a little sad by that. J-Mac beat you, Dave, by 111 points. And then Myf, you beat Frost.
J-Mac.
J-Mac, by the way.
Has he got 100 from a coach?
J-Mac had a hell of a week.
I had 80 less points than my coach.
411.6 points. Now, not only is that the highest earner so far this phase. What am I waiting for?
Sorry, you finish your point. Yeah, okay. I think I have a very small.
It is the first 400-point week we've had. And on top of that, Trelli, I've got bad news for you. J-Mac has officially supplanted you as first on the leaderboard. He's got 1,054.3. You've got 1,038.9.
But I'm third.
Then it's Dave.
Okay, but I'm
Then
fourth.
It's Jordan.
Okay, fifth.
Then it's me.
No way.
Then it's Myf.
You're making that up.
I'm
That's
not
in last
making
place?
that up.
I'm not in last place.
He's in sixth.
Oh.
Then it's Hazer. Then it's Frost.
Oh, okay.
All right. It is good news that Hazer and Frost are on the bottom.
Do you have the scores
That's
from
big
last
for us.
week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did I tie Hazer last week also?
Your score last week was 322.6 with. Oh my God, yeah, you guys have the same.
Did he also have 322.6 last week? We're both tied at 300.2 this week.
Yeah,
we've now tied exactly to the decimal point.
In week one, he was 330.3 and you were 361.2.
Yep.
Then you tied 322.6 and then now you've tied 300.2. That's
got to be
wild.
Tiny odds to the decimal point,
That's
right?
insane to think
crazy
about.
that I'm
actually
losing. Like I chose all the right people. Like I made the most optimal selections, and I'm losing. How does this make any sense?
I told you that my team is going to be just bang on average all year long. I'm gonna be a third, fourth, fifth type team, and they're living up to that expectation. And I think because Neil's struggling a bit. Tough week for the Ravens.
A really good week
because I went into this week and this season with a knowledge that I was going to be a middle of the road average team.
Yeah.
I am totally fine.
The fun fact I was given by Tristan, which is something I actually wouldn't have caught out, and I'm sorry, because a lot of this, right? First place is getting the choice of choosing the cosplay for the last place person to wear,
right. Which would be.
So right now, the gap between first and seventh total is about 100 points.
That's not bad.
Now that is the exact same gap between seventh and eighth.
Oh, so Frost is getting.
Frost is 853. Hazer's at
Frost
953.
Well, he got genetics at least.
Yeah, he's got Ducky Scream,
tough.
Snoopy.
Yeah, Frost is
genetics
staying
vote.
there is the thing.
Yeah, that's a tough.
Yeah, it's not been a great phase for him. The good news is, Trelli, at least for you, Ravens have the Gladiators and the Hounds coming up. So
You gonna get owned by the Glads? That's tough.
I don't think so.
Hope not.
I think Hounds is going to be a tough matchup for them. I think Glads
what's my team again?
need to start to build that consistency.
I got Variety BMT.
Wait, who let him get that? Hold up.
Yeah, I know my team's kind of nuts actually.
Man, if I just got my Quig, I would have won.
Yeah.
You ruined this for me.
You took Pagon from me.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
And you literally looked at my notes. You said, "Oh, you want Pagon?"
He
I'm
literally
gonna grab
only had Pagon written down, and you did strip that.
I think it's wild that Hazer and I have tied 2 weeks in a row. I think that's just a very small target to hit, and I think it's neat.
That is neat.
It is. That is a very small target to hit too. That's actually really kind of blowing my mind.
And I think it's
that
neat.
it happened.
You do also think it's neat?
I think it's neat, yeah.
It looks like Jake might be, if I'm looking at this right, Jake is the top earner right now. 237.2.
Jake is playing like one of the best players in the league right now.
Dude, his numbers are actually kind of.
I'll stand by it.
All right, relax.
Is he not?
I'm just saying, like, genetics exists.
I said Jake is playing like one of the best players.
Yeah, he's trying
in
to
the league
replicate
right
genetics, yeah.
I didn't think that's true.
No, he's not trying to
I
replicate.
was gonna say I don't think that's true at all.
Well, I'm gonna steal, and I'm gonna rewind time to that thing I said when I was talking about the Ravens and how they're playing the Hounds and the Gladiators. I'm gonna use that as a segue, so we can just pretend that the rest of that conversation.
Pretend the last 5 minutes.
Move forward to the next segment here. The Gladiators. Looking at them, they beat the Kings. Myflin, I know you've been very vocal about this, about whether or not
Literally
this is
everything.
Be something consistent. Is this going to be a team like?
It's the EUSCC we're talking about.
This is the real question for you. Is when you're looking ahead, this team beat the Kings. You had been very vocal in the moment of until they do something consistently, who cares? Because we had the Valks upset the Kings, and then they went on a. I almost said a bad word. Run.
Went on a bad run.
Yeah, it was a good run for the Kings.
Yes.
At that point, bad for the Valkyries.
Yeah.
Everything they've done for the last couple of years has not been terribly great. What do you need to see from the Glads by Masters to make you, Myflin, happy with them?
How many more weeks do we have? 3 more weeks, including this
That's
one.
week
So 4,
4,
5,
week
and 6.
5, playoffs.
How many of those weeks are double headers for the Glads? Like, how many total games do they have left?
I know they had. Let me pull it up for you.
I believe it's 5, maybe 4.
They play Ravens, Dragons this week.
Yep.
Then they play Warriors. Oh man, I'm sorry, Gladiators,
5 or
Leviathans. And the Leviathans is their last
I don't know if I'm getting all excited about the Leviathans anymore. If I'm the Leviathans looked better this weekend, and then worse. But like,
Yeah. No, well, I don't think the Gladiators are going into any given matchup expecting to be the favorite. All I need to see is if they have 6 games, 2 more wins. If they've got 5 games, still 2 more wins. Give me 2 more wins from the Gladiators.
game wins.
No, set wins. Set wins from the Gladiators.
Although, hell, at this point, I'm also taking game wins because they've only got 2 of those.
Game wins mean so little to me. And it's the conversation we've always had.
Yeah, but
it's
2
the
of those
conversation
make a
we
set,
had around
right?
the Valks. It's any given Sunday, they might show up and they look good. I don't need to see that anymore. Any given Sunday is worthless. I need to see every other Sunday. I not once in a blue moon. I need to legitimately think that there is a threat, not an off chance that it's going to be a one-off
So
victory.
you need to see 2 set wins to what?
To say that the Glads like maybe have some potential.
Okay.
To say that the Glads shouldn't be looking at potentially maybe some replacements or large sweeping shifts to their play style or maybe new picks they need to bring out. Until I see 2 more set wins, everything the Glads do are suspect in my mind.
Sure. I think there's conversations around.
Does that say gilded or gross?
Yeah, it does. Gladiators
Yeah.
are gilded
Gross.
or
Is this-
gross.
It's the rewind to
Stu, hindrance or asset.
Look, when the Glads win every single set after this segment, it's because of us.
Yeah.
That's right.
Stu only popped off because we did that segment. It's
right.
actually legal.
I think there is
in their
conversation.
contract.
There is conversation to be had about players still needing to get here in studio. However, I don't. While there have been plays from the Gladiators where I'm like, all right, maybe if this guy is in studio, like, reacts a bit quicker, plays a bit differently. But I'm not allowing those players not being in studio to be an entire team bailout, right? Like, there has still been identity
It's scary and Snoopy.
and play on field just shot calling mistakes from this team that don't have anything to do with players either being here in studio or not. So I think that will be an improvement for this Gladiators team. Being here and instant decision making, being in the room with the guys you're playing with is always going to feel better. But we have other teams in the league who also have players that are playing from ping, and while
Worse
ping, some of those players have struggled. It hasn't been quite as bad. So I do.
Coast makes the ping conversation real difficult, right?
So does Shito.
Coast is looking real good though.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I think I have a level of faith in the Gladiators that there could be something there. However, I tend to agree with Myf until I think the Kings win shows you why I might feel that way.
Yeah. They've
But
shown what
I'm
they
not-
can do. It's just do that
Right.
all the time.
Until they win,
Or half the time.
right, until they start flipping
Or a quarter
coins,
of the time.
Until their sets are coin flips.
or just any more than two. Well,
Any more
actually,
than once.
realistically, it was one game, right? Because
Yep.
one of them, you watch that game too. That's a King's loss, not a Glad's victory.
I agree.
Kierme shows a lot of potential for this team.
Oh hell yeah!
I think that
guy's
Stewart has had his moments with this team. I think the dual lane has some synergy to figure out. I think the front lining will hopefully iron out as we move forward. And so I think there is potential, but I tend to agree with the conversation we're having here until the every once in a while becomes every other week or a few set wins over the course of the phase. I'm not sure I feel confident in changing the conversation just yet.
Now, Trelli,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you,
Okay, please do.
we're not getting your opinion on the Gladiators here, which admittedly to disagree. And it's only because we got 7 minutes left, so we're going to jump to the next segment, right? Stuck in the middle with who?
Nice.
And
God, production is on it.
I gotta give absolute shout outs to Billy, because what I just wrote was the middle, and it's like that's so boring and bland and gross.
Here I am.
In,
I don't want to.
Don't get me DMCA'd, bro. I need this. Ravens, Hounds, Ferrymen, Levis, Dragons. Like, I mean, there's Kings and Warriors.
Yeah. And there's
There's
everyone
Gladiators.
else.
And then everyone else is right there in the middle. Only 3 teams are really excluded from this because of how well they've been playing. So, Chelly,
Yeah.
who's gonna pull ahead? Who, like, of those teams, who's the one that you see being like the one?
Oh, I think there's a clear answer here.
There was a clear answer. If you asked me before last week, I would have said just Dragons, Ravens, easy conversation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, again, the Ravens had a rough week.
Unfortunately, we watched this.
The Ravens had a rough week, but I think they're still at the top of that conversation.
Yeah.
The Dragons, they dropped the ball for me. I expected a lot more from the Dragons coming from that week. A lot of longer games that I would have expected them to be able to close out a bit earlier, losing pressure, sort of uncharacteristic mistakes. So I would say it's the Ravens at the top of that list. And, the Hounds have been looking good. There's just the expectations as well as what we actually have gotten to see. It's still a toss-up.
Little bit of a toss-up. Myf, you said there's an obvious answer.
Yeah, I think it's the Ravens.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just the Ravens. They had a really tough week last week. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I think this is one of the better looking teams right now. I was a major detractor for the last couple of years about 2 players on the Ravens. I had said Barracuda and Ven have been resting on their laurels for a very long time. And it felt like they had a couple of quiet years. Whatever has happened with this team, be it just a conversation shift, just a shift in how they're perceiving scrims or practice or what it's like playing with this team, I don't know what's changed. But Barracuda and Ven in particular have been looking very good, and the Ravens have been looking good around them. When it was the Renegades, when it was the Bolts, it's okay, it's Lasbra and it's Lasbra only. And maybe now without him, they felt like they needed to step up, and I think they've done so very, very well. The Ravens are one of my favorite teams to watch right now. because they are essentially what I had always wanted from an underdog team, a team that on any given Sunday can win and will win and can potentially take games off these other top teams and have exciting games against the bottom of the league as well. So I think the Ravens, if I were not working here and I were just a spectator at home, I would go out of my way to make sure that I'm watching Ravens sets. And I think that's probably one of the best places to be in as far as an entertainer. And at the end of the day, that's what sports is, esports as well.
Especially because the way we'd separated it, right? Like you've got your Kings, your Warriors that are up towards the top. And right now, if you look at the Chaos division, it's the Warriors and then a chasm between them and anybody else. Like I'm pretty sure at this point, if they get one more set win, they're just first. I think nobody can catch up. I think the Dragons loss on Sunday
four games left.
Really did try and kind of trip it up. So they'd have to lose out and other teams have to win out to even catch up, to be tied, and then head-to-heads coming and they just need the win. They're probably going to get the win. We can more or less count them as first over there. That Kings loss to the Gladiators, though, makes the Ravens conversation a lot more interesting because suddenly they're back into it, and so maybe the middle is shaking up, and I think that's what you should be watching for this weekend. I agree with you. Watch every Ravens set at the minimum that you
they have the most implication standings not only for themselves but also for the entirety of the rest of the league. The Ravens games feel like they're like the swing states if we're gonna compare it to like voting. Like their games just seem to matter a little bit more.
And
hopefully less disappointment.
Well, the good news is that they're going to be exciting matches. We do still have one other really exciting match, at least in my mind, this weekend, and I'm sure that everybody agrees. Warriors taking on the Kings, right? It's going to be the match of the week. Yep. It's a huge deal, right? A team that had been undefeated until maybe they did a little goofies, and then a team that is still undefeated, and this is the time for them to kind of
they've been undefeated while doing their goofies.
Yeah, so we'll have to see that. We actually have a nice little hype trailer to get you in the zone for Warriors and Kings.
Camelot Kings versus the Oni Warriors. The Warriors, still undefeated in the Pro League, now face off again against the world champions, the Camelot Kings. Can the Kings bounce back from their recent loss and take it to the Oni Warriors? All that and more this Sunday. Tune in! Tune in! Do it! Do it!
That's actually going to be the only way we get Hindu on waiting room, by the way, is if he does a match of the week.
Would you guys believe that was just me doing a Hindu impression?
Oh, that's, you know what? I would.
Yeah. That was really good.
Spot on. You nailed it. And you know what? For years we've been trying, despite all of the HR things that say we shouldn't make fun of people for their accent.
Hello.
We've all been trying to get there. Trelli finally nailed it. We've only got like a minute left, so real fast words. Kings, Warriors, who's winning?
Warriors.
Kings.
I almost want to dig into that, but I'm going to hit the buzzer, like I said, to showcase that we're going to be closing it out. It's going to be a fun set. Make sure you tune in on Sunday. That's the first set of the morning. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week on the SBL Waiting Room.
What? You broke it?
Oh, say less. I'm back in that bag again. Yeah. Oh, say less. I'm back in that. Yeah. What you doing? Yeah. I'm back in that. Hey. Where you going? Hey.